Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, update number 3 on the Hexblast Mine Scavenger character. And today was actually better than yesterday. I mean, it's always the same thing, right? You farm, you upgrade, you have more success. You can farm the sanctums faster, or mapping in general, or whatever content you do. You get faster, you do more damage, you're tankier, and you have gotten yourself a lot of knowledge on how to do things. And this is specifically the case for sanctums, because I feel like now I've done probably 30, 40, or even 50 sanctums. I have no idea, I don't count them at all. But I'm just running sanctum all day long. I buy tomes from the market, I run them, buy tomes, run them, and upgrade the character along when I, go. And honestly, you just get a lot more comfy. I remember on the first day, or basically first day was more like heisting. On the second day when I started doing the sanctums, every time I saw, oh, there is a divine orb, I was basically playing on a bed of nails, more or less. I always scared to just fuck up, because I basically lost somewhere 5, 6, or 7 divines by failing sanctums. You get a reward, 2 divines at the end of the sanctum, you die at Phrecia, the end boss, right? And the 2 divines are gone, and yeah, so I lost a bunch of currency, but in the other hand, I'm also making a bunch of currency just because you get so much bubblegum currency, that you basically can just convert into chaos into divines, and this is basically what I've done today. I did do a bit more mapping, so 22 maps completed, so I run a bunch of maps just to get a bunch of gold, so I am able actually to convert my currency. That's basically the only source of gold that I have, because in Sanctum itself you don't get any gold. But yeah, basically another 13 divines, also some divines spent on my character. I added a cluster jewel setup here on the top side, and I want to go over the updates and so on and so forth. But first I want to talk a little bit more about Sanctum in specific. So there is it's a bit weird, right? I would still say, even though now I'm comfy doing all the sanctums that I'm running until level 75 or something, because I have the damage and the knowledge now, which afflictions are good or bad, or less bad basically, right? What kind of stuff you're looking out for, and now I'm just cruising through, and I think I do probably 3 sanctums an hour or something. So it's definitely very, very good. But I still, at the start, again, failed a couple sanctums, lost 3 divines today alone just by failing sanctums, and this is a bit of a weird situation, because it's mentally taxing a little bit. So let's assume we compare now Sanctum versus mapping, okay? I do Sanctum, I see the reward, 2 divines at the end of the Sanctum, I fail the Sanctum, and I know I just lost 2 divines because I suck, right? If you're mapping and you run 50 maps and you do not find a divine, I mean, you're not expected in an Alcan Go scenario somewhere when you're farming the Atlas, whatever, that you're gonna drop a divine. It can happen, it cannot happen. I had league starts where I haven't dropped a single divine in the first 5 days, and I was even about to get my last 2 Void Stones on the way, right? So it's still you fucked up, and while mapping, you just don't know divines exist, more or less, unless you get lucky, you're happy about it, and that's about it. So it's still kind of mentally taxing, but in the other hand, thinking it's day 3, and I accumulated probably 30 divines or more, means that it's a lot better to farm sanctums than actually grinding out your Atlas. And with the currency, you're then obviously a lot faster. I think within a day, when I buy some maps or something, I could finish the entire Atlas, which obviously is not able, you're not really able to do on the league start itself, because you're not having a 6 link, you're missing just basic stuff, your character is not tanky, you're not having enough damage, so it's still a slow progress. So based on, just if I think back on my regular league starts, it's day 1 campaign, day 2 white maps, day 3 yellow maps, day 4 red maps, and day 5 is trying to get the Void Stones. It's 5 days where I just complete the Atlas and I maybe get 10 divines or something. Now it's basically day 3 and I already have 13 divines in my stash. My gear is worth probably somewhere, I would say about 15 divines or something. So yeah, this is a lot more currency than I usually have on league start, thanks to Sanctum, even though I'm failing quite a bunch of those. But yeah, still, at the end of the day, I want to do a little bit more stuff than just running Sanctums. It's just if I would do this now for another 3 days and I make 100 divines in total, because now with the next upgrades I can do level 80 Sanctums and I would make even more currency. I would start to buy relics for strategies in Sanctum, and in the end of the day it's even harder to keep up on League Start for people that are following a build or something like that. So, first of all, let's talk about the upgrades that I've done today. Gear-wise, I think nothing has changed. This is all like the same. I think I just swapped around some resistance with the Harvest Crafting Bench. I got, I think this one had like lightning resistance before. I swapped it into cold resistance, so I'm having like a little bit more freedom when it comes to my stats, but the gear itself is the same. Based on the gems, I bought a level 21 Hexblast because just adding like one level gives like 500,000 damage, which is very, very good. Also, my my gems leveled up. So what I did, once you have like a level 20 support gem, I don't know if I still have one left over somewhere maybe. Here, Power Charge on Crit. If you're having a level 20 gem, you can basically just vendor that with a GCP and you get the same gem back with level 1 but 20% quality. This is something I usually do on League Start, that I just throw in all my gems and then run a couple maps and they get back to like, what are the other ones, like level 18 and 20 now without any investment. But obviously once you resell the items, you're gonna get more out of it, right? But you can do it however you want, but this is basically what I'm usually doing. The quality in Hexblast doesn't really matter too much with the chance to remove a Hex after damaging. Whatever, it's a 1 divine, the Hexblast, but as I said, gives you quite a bit of damage. Then I was looking for other upgrades that might be cheap, because obviously what are the big ticket items on this build? It's a Void Battery, it's a Sandstorm Visage, it's Relicash Boots, and all of these items are like 10 plus divines, right? So how can I improve my character without spending too much currency? And basically the answer is Cluster Jewels. So this is basically a Cluster Jewel setup. I think I still have my trade site open here. So they are currently going for about 50 chaos for the large Cluster Jewel. We have here Touch of Cruelty, Unwavering Evil, and Unholy Grace, or you can even take a Wicked Paul. But you're just gonna take like 2 of them plus the Jewel Socket just for generic extra damage, and with a Touch of Cruelty, you have the chance to hinder, and enemies hindered by you take 10% increased chaos damage, which is a more multiplier on top of your damage. And then, so it is basically 50 chaos, and then you have the medium cluster jewels going for about 25 chaos, which Guerrilla Tactics and Surprise Sabotage for the extra crit multi, the penetration, the movement speed, the mine throwing speed. So now it feels even better to just throw out a bunch of mines, and it's just like a smoother playstyle, right? So it's like 100 chaos investment for a lot of damage and a lot of quality of life. Yeah, way easier to achieve basically as getting like one of these big ticket items, right? Then more extra levels. Then when it comes to jewels, I basically, let me see if I still have that. Just any combination that I have over here, right? I say count at least 3, and they are usually about like a chaos or so, or 5 chaos, or 10 chaos, so you get them very, very cheap. And I just have a combination of like mine damage, chaos damage, mana reservation efficiency, spell damage with a shield, any form of resistance, multiplier for spell damage, life, ES, whatever fits in, and you get those pretty cheap, and they are definitely worth using. It's a nice damage increase or survivability increase, no matter if you have like increased life or ES and stuff like that. But I would prefer ES over life because we're running this on low life. And there is not too much chaos damage in the Sanctum. You could go here for another large cluster jewel setup if you have a lot of levels, but I think this setup here was like way easier to achieve. If we take a look at the PUB now, we went from day 1 with like 400k damage into day 2 with 3.8 million damage, and now we are on day 3 with 6 million damage. And I think I reached a point now, like we're res cap, we have like decent survivability. I think only one single time against the end boss I died because my character actually died, and not because I was running out of resolve or inspiration or something like that. So you don't really need to be tanky. Another good thing here is that Hexblast basically has all damage can ignite, freeze, and shock. That means you're basically permanently chilling and freezing the Guardians, so they don't gonna do a lot, right? And you basically just run around, brand playstyle, you just throw your mines and they just basically clear everything, and as soon as something gets hit, it's frozen in place. So there's not anything that really kind of hits you, and this is something I found very, very interesting, because I was actually thinking that you actually need some kind of like a tanky character to be able to do higher tier sanctums, but it's like all you need is a shit ton of damage, and that's basically it. Good. So what would be the next upgrades if we go further into this line over here? Basically, the Militant Faith goes hand in hand with Relicash Boots, because what this does is that your you get 3% more spell damage per power charge, but you're not any more longer able to do frenzy charges. Frenzy charges are also very important for the speed, for the mind throwing speed, the more damage, and so on and so forth. So once you get the Relicash boots, this would be a complete different gearing, right? You get Relicash boots that enables you to run the Malachai's loop shield. It would makes you able to get the Maven belt, for example, and all these like charge stacking stuff. And on top of that, I would probably even spend 1 extra point for the endurance charge just to be a little bit more tanky, since we're gonna have all these charges anyways. And then we have absorption charges on top of that, so that's like pretty big. But obviously this is the most expensive piece here. But as I said, I'm farming without those. Obviously it's League Start scenario, so it's not like you need them. This would just be the icing on the top. This would be like endgame to farm then 83 sanctums and so on and so forth. But as I said before, the items that would now be very interesting would be the Void Battery, the Sandstorm Visage, and the Relicash boots. And I think the Sandstorm Visage is even more important because it adds a lot more damage. So what this helm is doing, base critical strike chance of spells equals to the main hand weapon. So get a weapon with like a lot of crit strike chance and you're gonna get a shit ton of damage. With my current weapon, that only has, what is it, like 10% base crit, is like insane, right? Even though this weapon was like 5 chaos and the shield was like 1 chaos, this is still like from day 1. I could easily replace that for a couple chaos and get like more damage out of it. But if you check the damage, if this is like the exact build that I currently run, right? If I just go from the Duedris into the Sandstorm Visage, I'm going from 6 million DPS to 9.4 million DPS. So that's more than 30% more damage, and we're getting up to like almost 90% critical strike chance in comparison to the 35 of the Duedris Scorn. So this is like the biggest upgrade that I could potentially get, and dealing like 35% more damage just like that is quite insane, right? Then another thing that you would be looking forward to is the Void Battery. It's currently 11 divines, but the Void Battery would, compared to my current weapon, get me to 7.8 million DPS. So as you see, the Sandstorm Visage is like a way higher damage upgrade when it comes to that. If we get both, we're sitting at 12.3 mil just by replacing those two items, but it's like a 20 divines investment. But even, you know, in Sanctum, it's like not the hardest thing to make a bunch of currency and just upgrade your character along the way. And if I would have those two items, which are basically just like here for a damage increase, which would more than double my damage again, then you would just keep on farming like 80 Sanctums or something to get the Relicash boots, and then you would go into the way of like Malachai's Loop, the general charge stacking items, you know? But this would be the current plan, and with the Relicash boots, then taking the Militant Faith, which would be another like probably 20-30% more damage on top of that, right? So it's very easy to get a shit ton of damage on this build. Good. PUB and the link to the VOD of today is in the description below, and now I want to talk about the next plan, right? So as I said, I think I made enough currency for these 3 days, about 30 divines once I sell everything, to throw at another build. And if you remember about my videos that I made early League, I said the one thing that I want to play is a Fulcrum build. And basically, with the Ascendancy node of the Scavenger, which is the main reason why I even picked Scavenger as my League starter, is the option to get the Fulcrum Ascendancy node. So what this does is elemental ailments you inflict are reflected to you. That means self-ignite is available, self-chill with the Winter Weave Ring. And you basically would play like a kind of like an RF character, but you're not playing RF in that case, right? So the combination that I'm looking after for is Cloak of Flame for the tankiness. Then on the second lap, it's the Fulcrum, and on the third one, we would do Surface Heart for our chaos damage, can ignite, chill, and shock. So since we're not playing Elementalist, since we don't have the Shaper of Flames where all damage can ignite, things we need to do it a little bit different. And I would basically try to get like just an Obliteration wand with Chaos Explosions, then get enough Ignite chance on the tree, deliver those Chaos Explosions to enemies to then ignite the enemies with our chaos damage, which then gets reflected back to us, so we can play this like a self-ignite build. But obviously we would instantly die, so we need a source of unaffected by ignite, and there is several sources, but I think the cheapest one is going to be the Kahu Turor's Certainty boots, which just says unaffected by damaging elements, which is basically poison, bleed, ignite, and so on and so forth. It's important to not be immune, it's about unaffected, so you are ignited but it doesn't deal any damage. So basically chaos damage, the enemy, ignite them, the ignite reflected back to us, we're not going to take the ignite damage, and if we run fan the flames or any ignite proliferation, my character should be the circle where I could just run through a monster and then just chain explode stuff with Herald of Ash, big explosions, and since we're also like with our chaos damage can chill and shock, we're also gonna take the Winter Weave ring for the effect of chill on you is reversed. So if we inflict a big chill, it's reflected to us, we get action speed out of that, so 30% action speed in terms of movement speed, cast speed, attack speed. So the character should be very fast, an auto bomber style, and yeah, we're gonna see how the journey is going to go with that. It shouldn't be too hard to get the build going, at least. I have no idea what kind of like stuff we're gonna do in the early game, what like single target, if we're gonna use like Fire Trap or any other skill to do those ignites to kill off map bosses and stuff, but it should be a mapping character. Another thing that is very interesting, since the Settlers League is basically also having a Kyrux Vault Pass, and everybody that bought the Kyrux Vault Pass, as well as like finishing it, has access to the Kyrux Vault, and this is basically from the get-go, right? So what you basically do, you get all the 8 rewards from the Kyrux Vault Pass. That includes a Forbidden Tome that people are selling, a Simulacrum if you have all the map completion stuff. And what happens is that a Simulacrum, since people are just going in, taking the reward, and they just want to have the currency out of the Simulacrum, that basically means that a Simulacrum is down to like 6, 7, 8 chaos per piece, which is insane. Like, usually when you do Simulacrum projects, it costs like 50, 60, 70, or even 100 chaos, and you're still gonna make profit. Now imagine how much profit you're making if you would be able to do a Simulacrum character this early on with a sim being like 6 chaos. It might be insanely profitable, but it's kind of similar than Sanctum, where you say like you're just locked in your bubble of a Simulacrum, or into Sanctum and you don't care about anything else, right? The good thing about Simulacrum is it gives a shit ton of currency. The bad thing is it only gives currency. You know, Sanctum is just about raw currency. It doesn't really contribute to the market in terms of items, right? So if you would say a Heist character does the same, yeah, they're also gonna open chests and get raw currency, but they're also gonna get items into the market, whether it's like replica items and stuff like that, or other things that you can get in Heist, like trinkets and whatnot. And the same with like Simulacrum also gets you like a bunch of all kinds of currency, not only raw currency, right? So Heist, like Sanctum runners are just making raw currency, but they also like don't contribute to the market, right? So basically you could either just map and provide the items that Sanctum farmers are gonna buy for a ridiculous price. For example, a Void Battery, you know, if you go some Magic Find, you find 10 Divines, thanks for that. But in the end of the day, it's just like a bit different, right? Good. I don't know exactly how it's gonna shape up, how I'm gonna do things, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna do some PoB. All I know is I'm gonna now start to try out the build that I initially tried to play, which is like Self-Ignite, Scavenger, and yeah, I'm gonna keep you guys updated how this project goes in the upcoming days. And now it's time to sell all of this gear. Probably gonna sit at like 30 divines once everything is said and done. And yeah, try to figure out how we're gonna make this Ignite build pop off. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.